polystyrene when interracial homosexual lovers that decided to architect and construct a new version of Nat Turner's life that will marginalize them. Damn, James, how you do that? Team up with a cracker to downplay what Nat did with an axe to the master. You knew what Nat Turner meant to blacks. I read your poems, you had your hands on the pulse of the people. It seems that Nat Turner represent the dangerous road before Martin King. Maybe you should review the roots, a literary genius. Why'd you let this William come between us? Nat Turner lives and he'll always be seen as the meanest slave ever, the cracker beheader. Am I wrong for fighting this 10,000-pound gorilla in the song? Bring it on. Am I wrong for fighting this 10,000-pound gorilla in the song? Bring it on. Am I wrong for fighting this 10,000-pound gorilla in the song? Bring it on. Am I wrong for fighting this 10,000-pound gorilla in the song?
Hotep, African family, Hotep. You are live. Tonight is Sunday, October 4th, 2009. This is the Children of Southampton show coming to you live from the 900 AM WRD studios right here in Philadelphia. You are live with your sister Nefertari. And family, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Tonight we had scheduled the master teacher Ashwa Kwesi. However, unfortunately, due to inclement weather, some really bad weather going on in the Texas area down in Dallas, where him and his queen are located and based out of, and they have their in-laws are coming into town on a flight. And they have to make sure they get to the airport and trying to get back. And they're not going to be able to join us at this time. There was just, unfortunately, because of the weather, kind of pushed everything back and the flight was late. And you know how it is, family. We know how we do down at the Philadelphia airport. So I know all of us have experienced that in bad weather. So we look to have him rescheduled at a later date. We hope that they get home safely. They are trying to make their second interview. They have a second interview scheduled from 8 to 10 tonight, out of DC. It's a station on WOLDCnews.com, and we'll give you more about that as well on the War on Horizon show. So they're going to try to get back home in time to do that show. We didn't want them to do the cell phone thing and be trying to drive and talk on a cell phone at the same time. So that being said, we do have a guest coming into the studio now, Brother Haki Ami from Baltimore. He is the brother who was bringing in Ashwa Kwesi to Tubman City. We call it Tubman City. To Tubman City on October 17th, just a few short weeks from now, to do a lecture on the African origins of civilization. Brother Haki is on his way. He's coming to us now. He just let us know. He just is a few blocks away, so we're going to give him a few minutes to get into the studio. But that being said, family, we have a wealth of topics to talk about today. And you don't want to miss this one. There's a lot going on, family. And just for a second, I want to bring something home to you. I'm sitting here. A lot of times I come into the studio, most times, I come into the studio early. Just so I can kind of get my mind right, get all my thoughts together and just mentally prepare for the show. And I was sitting in my car just a little while ago. And right across from the studio, there's a mural. Anyone who's been to Philadelphia knows that our city is known for beautiful murals throughout the city, painted on buildings, on the side of the road, different artistic works displaying different people, depicting different scenes of American history, or just depicting different people who have been prominent in American history. And right across from the studio, literally, you can sit in your car and just look on the wall opposite the studio. There's a mural that depicts the story of when the Europeans first landed here in this country, and it shows them with a long contract, a long scroll contract. And it's about maybe 3 or 4 Europeans. They dressed in their big hats and their blouses and everything. And they're standing across from the Native Americans, the natives. And the natives are standing there, the women and the children, they're all there. And they're looking at this document. And in the far off distance, around the corner from where this meeting is taking place, around the corner, around the cliff, there's a picture of a big ship. Reminds you of those slave ships that they brought us here on. But there's a big picture of a ship just coming into the harbor. And the Europeans are standing there with they're standing there with this long contract, and they also got these blankets in their hand. See? And you'll see a number of the Native Americans draped in the blankets. They have the blankets draped around their bodies. There's even a couple of babies who are wrapped in the blankets. You have a scene of one of the Native Americans standing there talking to a few other Native American men, and he has blankets in his hands as if he's about to give his brethren some of the blankets. And it reminds me of the story of how the European tricked the natives and gave them blankets filled with smallpox. And how this smallpox infected not only them, but also it infected, their entire population, and it made the women and the children and the men sick, and many of them felt deathly ill. It was a tool for genocide. It was a tool for genocide. And I'm saying all this, family, because it's going to tie in what we're going to talk about today. But when I look at this, it weighs heavy on my heart. So if you hear my voice tonight, I'm a little bit down, I feel a little bit demoralized. It's because I'm looking at this mural, and on the streets of Philadelphia, on the streets of Detroit, on the streets of Los Angeles, the streets of Miami, you don't see full-blooded Native Americans walking around at all, family. They are out, they're gone from existence. Though there are some out there on the reservations, they're on, we don't call them reservations, they're on these death camps is what they are. These internment camps. That's where some of them are still located. But for the most part, you should see millions of full-blooded Native Americans walking around the streets of this country, and you don't, because the European wiped them out. He wiped them out. He had them sign a long contract that he didn't understand, and he tricked them and gave them blankets what they thought would make them warm and help them to fight the cold. And he killed them. He murdered them. He committed genocide against the people. And I'm bringing this home, family, because right now we are embraced by this thing called hip hop. Okay, we're embraced by this music, this deaf noise. And what's happening is many of our young people are going out and they're signing these long contracts. The Europeans sitting down with them right now as we speak in some big offices, sitting down with our babies, our brothers and our sisters. And they got these young people signing these long contracts. And these young brothers and sisters, they don't know what they're signing. They don't know what they're getting into. They just know that they see the money on the other side of the table. They see the dollar bills at the end of the contract. And they're signing their souls away. They're signing their lives away. It's another form of genocide. And we see it played out. What happens is they take that contract, they sign it. They go into those studios, they make that deaf noise. The deaf noise then gets played all across the world. And then the brothers and sisters in the street carry out what they hear in the songs. They continue to call themselves the N-word. See, if you call yourself the N-word, the more you call yourself the N-word, the more zeros you're going to see at the end of your contract. The more times you say you call your woman a black bee and a whore, the more dollar bills you're going to see at the end of the contract. But what that spells out to your people around the world is death and destruction. The more death and destruction you're going to see in your community, and we're seeing it. We know this. We talked about this last week. We talked about the Negro Madness syndrome. And it's a form of Negro Madness because it's a form of, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know your history. You don't know your culture. You don't know where you come from. So as a result, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. You're walking around. You're just emptying your void. You don't know what you're doing. What is going on now, family? It's taking another very destructive turn. A very destructive turn. And what's going on now, family, is I saw a video this weekend that really disturbed me. It really disturbed me. Because there's a segment of our community out there that consider themselves African-centered, consider themselves conscious. And they're putting out, they're turning our culture and our movement into a degenerate culture and a degenerate movement. For those of us who are in our 30s, we remember, I remember growing up as a little girl, for example. I remember KRS-One and Public Enemy and oh my gosh, Miss Melody and the Nubian Brothers. So many of these hip hop artists. When I was just a little girl, I was middle school, elementary school age. And they were talking about self-destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. And we walked around bobbing our heads to that, and we held our heads up high. We pumped our fists. You know what I mean? We pumped the, Public Enemy told us to have pride in ourselves and told us they helped us identify who the enemy was, what was happening to us. I remember the song, and Brother Haki Ami, the Honorable Brother Haki Ami just joined us in the studio here. Hotep, brother.
Yes, greetings, Hotep.
You can help us, brother. Help us. What was the song that came out when we were younger? It talked about don't push me 'cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. That was before that. That was before that. That was oh God. Any of the calls out there who can remember, y'all know what I'm talking about. But it was talking about don't do drugs. If you selling drugs to your people, if you disrespecting your people, you are nothing. That is not uplifting. It doesn't make you. It makes you nothing. It makes you a traitor to your people, an enemy to your people. And I remember this growing up, and that's how I embraced hip hop, the hip hop culture. But then it was a quick turn. It happened in my early years. Oh, brother, the brother just told us it was Grandmaster Flash. Thank you for that, brother. It was Grandmaster Flash. Yes. I was a little girl. Don't push me 'cause I'm close. You say that over and over and over again. It becomes a part of who you are. You understand what I'm saying? You begin to act that out. So you have dreams of doing different things. You couple that with watching something like, for example, The Cosby Show in a different world. And a little girl like me starts to dream about going to college and becoming a lawyer and doing something doing better for myself. But then you had then you had another segment that came out called NWA, Ends with an Attitude. And Ends with an Attitude, they came out with a whole different thing, see? And they tricked us because it looked hardcore. It looked the same like Public Enemy a little bit. They had the same type of passion and anger, but their passion and anger was directed inward. It was directed towards self. And we embraced that because they tricked us really quick. They were calling us the ends. They were talking about drinking 40s. They were talking about shooting each other down in the streets over colors. And we embraced that, family. And what we're talking about here is how we can be tricked into a degenerate behavior and a degenerate culture. Now what we have in this hip hop is completely it's 1,000 times worse in terms of what's being pushed in mainstream. But there's a quiet movement that's happening in the undercurrent in terms of the so-called African-centered population. And I saw this video, and I want you, family. First, I was torn, between whether I wanted the family to go out and look at this video on YouTube because it's very disturbing, very disturbing. The video is called "You the White Man's B." It's a sister, and she's doing this song called "You the White Man's B." And when I watched this video, it tore me apart because one of the first things she says is, I want to end like Malcolm X. I need a real end like Malcolm X. To use the N-word in the same sentence in referring to our shining black prince, Malcolm X, and think that you're saying something positive. It leaves me, brother. Last night, Professor Poe was at an Nkrumah workshop, a celebration for Kwame Nkrumah last night at Imhotep Charter School here in Philadelphia. And he said something that really struck me. He said he doesn't like to use the term African American because it's a form of like schizophrenia, he said. It's almost like saying a Jewish Nazi. And we all laughed. I said, whoa, that was deep. When you present yourself to say, I want to end like Malcolm X, that's a schizophrenia. That's a form of Negro madness. You understand what I'm saying? You can't use those terms synonymously. And I want to take a moment because I want this sister, if she's listening, the sister who did this song, to understand. I'm a black woman. I consider myself an African nationalist. And I'm not beating down on you, sister. I love you, my sister. I love you. But I want to talk to you, sister to sister, black woman to black woman, because what I saw, and it chokes me up now because it really made me emotional because we don't understand the magnitude of the damage that we are doing. Sister, when you promote a song like that, you don't understand. I know what you're trying to promote is positive information. You're talking about the brothers out here, wearing their pants off their behind. You're talking about the brothers being taken and used by the white man in the hip hop industry. You know, you talked about worshiping the white man's God. All that is true information. It's true. It's real. But what you don't do, sister, is you don't couple that with a term like the N-word. We talked about the N-word last week. That word was used to destroy us as a people. It was. Do you really believe Malcolm X would love for you to hear you? What do you think he is thinking right now in the ancestral realm, knowing that you were calling him an N-word? Come on, sister. Come on. You walking around in the video with your, and all kind, your clothes, you're showing all kind of body parts. Come on, sister. Come on. That's not the way. And I know people think we're going to reach these young people a certain way. That's not the way we're going to reach them. We cannot let me tell you something. When I was growing up, I used to love listening to my grandmother. I would talk to her for hours. We would talk. And I would just sit there and be in amazement and listen to what she, all the questions I had, she would answer them for me. And I would just listen. And I had so much respect for her. But my grandmother never once came down to my level as a child. She always said, and my mother used to do this too. We all know this growing up. And your mom used to say to you, don't think you're doing anything I ain't doing. You think you got me. You think you know what you're doing. I done everything you've done, and then some. And you're like, yeah, right. She don't know me. You suck your teeth and I got something for her, right? Mm-hmm. What we don't understand is, what they didn't do is they didn't come down to our level and say, I'm going to come down there with you and I'm going to do what you're doing. And I'm going to lower myself to your level so I can reach you. Mm-hmm. No. They said, I'm going to put my hand out and you better come with me and follow me if you know what's good for you, because I know what's good for you. Mm-hmm. That's how they pulled us out. We are not going to reach our young people by getting down into the gutter with them. When I went to ancient Kemet in our history and our culture saved my life. It's a sacred thing for me. It's a sacred thing for me. It saved my life. When I see somebody putting out a video like this sister put out with images of our ancestors and you using all type of language and the whole song is laced with the N-word. 1 minute you calling the white man the B, but in the same word, same song, you're saying that you trying to use the N-word. You using the N-word to say, you want a real N like this. You want a real N like Huey P. Newton. Come on now. You got to get out of the gutter. You can't stay in the gutter to save people. You got to reach your hand down and help pull them out of the gutter. You don't get down in the gutter with them. That's not how we're going to win this war. It's not. And I'm coming to this sister. I'm not attacking you, sister. If you're listening, I'm not attacking you. This is not an attack. This is your sister coming to you with love. We've got to be stronger. We've got to be stronger than this. And Brother Haki, you can jump in anytime you want here, brother. I know I'm going on, but it's a passionate thing for me to see this happening to our youth. You understand? And I don't blame just the sister, because hip-hop and the brothers have given us the okay. This hip-hop generation, a lot of the brothers out there have given us the okay to call ourselves the N-word, to call our sisters B's and hoes. And I said it, I didn't mean to slip and say, but to call ourselves these names, they said it's okay, because I'm going to call you this, so now you can in turn call me the N-word. You know what I mean? You go on the street, you talk back, back for brothers, and they saying they justify using the word. So I don't blame the sister 100. I don't blame, but I'm trying to reach her to pull her out of this. You understand what I'm saying? We're dying out here. Right. We can't save our babies this way. We have to have something that's sacred. If we cannot hold our ancestors who fought and died for us in a level with a level of respect and level of in a level of sacredness, then we are doomed as a people. We're doomed. Nobody else is out here saying this, family. These Jews out here are not saying that Albert Einstein, that's my kike. And yes, I said it. They're not saying that. They don't use that word as a term of endearment. They don't try to turn that word around and embrace it. No people on the planet Earth does this except for us. It is self-hatred. You cannot justify it. You cannot justify it. And it upsets me because I'm reading all the comments on YouTube, and the people are saying, "Oh, this sister is so strong. This is a strong song. Oh, you ghosts, this is real. You know what I mean? And this is hardcore." What? I can't believe what I'm reading when I know there are people out here like for example, Kush the Black Unifier and Positive Comedic Vision. They pushed a whole decency movement. They have a whole calendar talking about being decent and decency. You understand what I'm saying? I can't justify this when there are people out here who are really doing the work. Brother Ashwa Kwesi, he takes us to Kemet and teaches our history. He don't point to the temple and point to the glyphs and say these are some real ends. He don't say that. He don't point to the if it's okay to say I want a real end like Malcolm X, the next step is to say that Harriet Tubman was a real tough B. She was a real strong B. That's the next step, family. We are one step away from that. We are one step away from that. We have got to check ourselves, check our morality, check our level of decency. And I'm not, again, never misinterpret what I'm saying, family. I am not standing up here preaching myself holier than thou. But this culture that we talk about, this culture we are embracing, it saved my life. And I'm not going to let anybody else out there disrespect it. I'm not going to let no white disrespect it. I'm not going to let no person who looks like me disrespect it. It's not going to happen. We got a call on the line. I'm going to take this caller. This is Sister Sandra.
Yes.
Sister Sandra, how you doing, sister?
How you doing? I just turned into the show, but I was thinking while you were talking. I mean, what are we going to do when we see Jay-Z on Oprah disagreeing with her about the N-word? They agreed to disagree about the N-word, and I think most people know how Oprah feels. She feels the same way you do about the word, and I do. Then you have him and what's her name? Beyonce's father, black men, and him holding her up as an image, and all these young girls want to look like her and shake their behinds and don't wear any clothes. So what are you going to do? I'm saying I'm with you on everything you're saying, but it doesn't seem as though people understand, the young people understand what they're into, how they want to look. They don't like themselves. They buy all this hair and weave it in and whatever they do, and then they want to wear nothing on their bodies when they're in the street showing all the skin. And if you say something to them in a helpful way, they get an attitude. So I want to know, what are the adults saying who are their beloved ones? I can't understand it. It really upsets me all day long. All day long. So I'm just bringing in that point. I'd like you to comment on that. I'm going to hang up.
Oh, sister, we appreciate you for calling in, and definitely we also want to say please call in again for future shows. And you're absolutely right, sister. You're absolutely right, because one of the problems is, sister, is that the adults are just as bad. The adults are just as bad, sister. Because let me tell you something. What I noticed, because like I said, it wasn't too long ago. I don't wave and point my finger in people's faces and say, you know, and try to judge them too hard. Because it wasn't that long ago that I was out there dressing myself inappropriately. And what it took for me, sister, it took a strong black man to come to me and say, you know what, sister, I'm gonna be straight up with you, dressing like a whore. And I had to sit my behind down and swallow that pill hard. I had to swallow that pill hard because I said, what? But I had assumed that I was dressing a little bit more, you know, adult-like, because I was shopping at, you know, some of the more expensive stores. You know, I wasn't down shopping at some of the little stores that my nieces and them were shopping. I was shopping at the so-called grown woman store. Oh, no, I'm a professional woman. I dress, you know, appropriately. But I had to take a hard look in the mirror and say, you know what? I do try to show my breasts. Every shirt in my closet is a V-neck shirt. All these pants in my closet are a little too tight. These skirts are a little too short. It started with me looking at myself, but it also, more importantly, started with somebody telling me, somebody who I respected, too. Let me add that. Somebody that I respected giving me the hard and honest truth. And what's happening is a lot of our family out here, a lot of brothers and sisters, they in the same realm. Let me just take it right here. When I remember when I was out clubbing, still in my clubbing days, and it was in the early 2000s, and people were wearing the basketball jerseys. That was becoming cool, to wear these big old basketball jerseys and your Timbs. You know, the brothers were wearing that. And, we go to the club, and the club no longer was dress up. It was you wear your basketball jersey, Tim's. That was dressing up. And I remember, when I would come home and I walk, in my neighborhood, and I'd see black men in their 40s and 50s wearing jerseys and Timbs, and their pants hanging off their behind. And I remember, what the heck? What the heck is this? You understand what I'm saying? I remember starting to see women in their 40s and 50s wearing little skimpy clothes and bopping around, and they, I began to see it, and I said, wow, the adults, they don't want to be adults. They don't want to grow up. They are scared to grow up and be adults and be responsible black people, responsible race people. They are afraid. They want to hold on to their youthful ignorance because they think it's cool, and they think if I just do this and dress this way. I see people asking their young kids, hey, teach me that new dance, but they wouldn't go to the club and do the same new dance.
Right. Sure. Well, sister, bottom line, and I know we have another caller, but this brother Haki Ami, pleasure to join you here. Bottom line is that we first have to start with people we have. There's what is called the center of influence, and there are persons that have various levels of influence, but the bottom line is that we have to start with our families first. The reality is that we can only influence a certain amount of people, and of course with this mechanism that we're on right here, we're able to speak, though it takes, the social forces are so powerful, where there was a study at one particular time in the 1950s who influenced people the most, and it was family, church, parents, and then they brought that study up to the 1980s, and it was peers, hip-hop, television. You see, so the reality is that the minds of our people are totally inoculated with this mass media propaganda that's aimed at destroying. So people are just totally out of their mind. They don't have their own mind. Their mind is like a little chip that the corporate marketers can turn on at any particular time and insert an emotional response in you to do a certain thing. And so this is our warfare. This is our war front, what we're doing right here. And so we're simply saying that do not condone it. Do not condone this type of behavior. We have to stand up. And when we see it in our friends and our families, because sometimes, like you said, sister, you said earlier how you don't want to go in a gutter to reach people. And, I hear a lot of folk saying we got to reach people, but it's just like, well, how much reaching we going to do? Because what am I? And I always say this to my family and to, some of my peers. I'm like, what, am I going to smoke crack with you? And
there you go, brother.
Where does it end? Where does the standards end in terms of what we're going to do to say, yeah, I'm just like you, right. And because I know one brother I was talking to, he said, well, you don't want to appear like an elitist, brother. You don't want to appear like an elitist. Well, I'm like, look, bottom line is they have to, I'm not going to say they, but we have to have some goals and aspirations. Right. We have to expect and demand more out of ourselves and out of our existence. And so that means, this poverty and just even you had something about poor righteous teachers. I don't, whatever that means. I'm not trying to stay poor in any means. No African people should not attempt to stay poor. We shouldn't glorify it. And so that's a part of it. The psychology of self-defeat, the psychology of poverty, all of these forces, with a culture, now a hip hop culture that's not even controlled by us. And so we have to put it out there, and, folk gonna have to grow up. Bottom line is you 35, 30 years old. You shouldn't be walking around with tennis shoes and sports memorabilia on like you own some stock in a company. You fool, So that's what we have, brother.
And you're so right, and Brother Sharif, hang on the line for us. One sec, we're gonna write to you, brother. But you're so right, brother. I thought about that analogy. I'm so glad you said that crack analogy, because I thought about that earlier. I said, when we talk about getting in the, if we're going to get in the gutter, if that's the way to reach our people, then we might as well go out to the crack houses and sit down and smoke some crack. Smoke some crack and say, I'm with you here. I'm feeling what you're feeling, cause, we both, I'm feeling you, so we're gonna help you. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Right.
And I know the young people want to embrace hip hop because we did it when we, those of us who grew up in the hip hop generation, it's all I grew up on. I'm a child of, I was born in the 70s. It's all I grew up on. I understand that. And at one point I was, of the mindset that we needed to just destroy it, give it up, and just be done with it. But I understand that it's hard because it is something that we created, and it's like people want to still bring different versions of it. When I started hearing music like United Front, and when I started hearing music like we played in the beginning Southpaw song, Brother Southpaw out of DC. When I started hearing people like Brothers Keeper, what I realized is that it's not hip hop in itself. It is hip hop in terms of the industry that is garbage, but it's not the musical form. It's what we do with the musical form. If this sister could have taken this same song, strip it of the N-word, okay, strip it of a lot of the vulgarities that she used, and come with the same approach, here's the thing that's interesting, family. Like I said, go to look up what is it? Mind Cups. There's Mind Cups. I'm sorry, I just got to throw this one out there. It's Mind Cups. There's one I know that's a good video on YouTube, and watch that. Now, Mind Cups, I think, may have about maybe 2,000 hits. This sister's video has like about 16 or 18,000 hits. The remix version has about 16,000 hits. Again, the more you say the N-word, the more you say you call people B's and H's, the more people respond. You understand what I'm saying? They respond to that. A degenerate people respond to that.
Exactly.
A degenerate people respond. You got to weigh what you're getting. You understand what I'm saying? Jay-Z is looking at his dollar bills and he's saying, I'm getting all this money over here. Forget what you're talking about. This is what I'm making. I'm making all this money. I'm not going to stop saying the N-word. I'm not going to stop talking about drugs. I'm not going to do this and that because I'm making all this money over here. Forget that. I'm paid.
Right.
Beyonce is going to stand up there. She will say, I'm not going to stop showing my body. I mean, I saw her on the BET. No, what was it? The Essence festival down in New Orleans. It was on TV. And she had basically nothing. Big bra and panties. Basically what your mom had on, bra and panties. She's not going to stop that because the people are going wild in the audience. They loving it. But a degenerate people are loving it.
Exactly.
You're selling your soul. Let's go to Brother Sharif. I know he's been on the hold for a while. Brother Sharif out of North Carolina. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Hotep family.
Hotep,
Brother Sharif.
How you doing, Brother Haki?
Good.
Hey, sister, I'm glad that you took on this topic. I know we had a little change in course, but proud of you on taking on this topic. It's not going to take much of your time. I think until we get together and develop our own schools and catch our young people at an early age, this isn't really going to stop, because as long as we're integrated with these demons, they're not going to teach us right, and we have to try to get back to the society that we had out in Tulsa back in the 1920s, where we had a 36-block radius of our own businesses, spiritual places, movies. Until we educate ourselves and our young people from a young age and come together and knock down all these walls that we have, they're going to continue to be miseducated. So I was just wondering if y'all could, give some more insight on that, because you guys are right on point that it's catching them early, and they're not going to tell them not to do it because they see the destruction, and that's what they're in place for, is to keep us down, to keep them in power. And Obama, that's not going to be the difference. Everyone is worshiping him, and that's about making me sick.
Brother, that's a whole show in itself. But you're right, brother, because, and I thank you for your call and thank you for your comments, Brother Sharif. I love when you call in and show the support. You always right on. We do have to start with the young. There's another video on YouTube, and I'm not a big YouTube fan, but when I get some good stuff, You know, when it moves me, I got to speak on it. Mm-hmm. Here's some positive stuff for you, fam. I know we're talking about negative stuff on YouTube. It's an 11-year-old boy out of Tubman City. You're down in your stomping grounds, brother.
That's right.
11-year-old brother, young, strong brother, who has an anti-N-word campaign going on. It started in his church. They were doing a speech, oratorical contest, and he wrote a speech about abolishing the N-word. And the young brother has, if you go on YouTube, you type in 11-year-old and N-word, it should come up. You'll get to see his speech that he did. This brother has now been on CNN. He was just on CNN the other day talking about why he felt, that we should abolish the N-word. And he did a beautiful job. First of all, family, that's where what is his parents doing? Take note. Because he's 11 years old and he's taking a stance and saying that we have to abolish this word, and here are the reasons why, the pain and the horror that this word has the history that this word has for us. We need to abolish it. Now, at 11 years old, what I want to talk to this sister out there who did the other, the You the White Man's B video.
What's her name?
Her name I didn't want to call out, bruh.
Let's come on.
Aisha Segment.
All right, wherever you from, Aisha Segment, we want to know who you are and why you do this. Call in.
Call in if you want to, so we can talk. Let me get your perspective. Again, sister, are you going to tell this 11-year-old boy that he's wrong? He's wrong for going to launch this campaign. This 11-year-old boy who is standing up proud in front of these thousands of people in his church and giving this speech. He didn't stumble. He didn't stammer. He didn't miss a word. He didn't mispronounce a word. It took strength. He had to stop and memorize this. All the stuff he had to memorize, alone to make sure. Now he's on CNN. This is bravery it takes for this young brother to do what he's doing. He's strong. We got to encourage that. Does he look now on YouTube and say, well, maybe this ain't what I'm supposed to be doing? Maybe I shouldn't be fighting this. See? We got to encourage it this way. This is what we want to bring. This is how we want to bring the youth up. Somebody's reaching that youth. Don't tell me you got to get in the gutter, because somebody reached him. Mm-hmm. And it didn't get in the gutter. So it is possible. It is possible. We're going to take a quick break because we want to play a commercial, family. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with you. We got to handle some business. We'll be right back with you, family.
The Transformation Network would like to invite you to an event with Master Teacher Aswa Kwesi speaking on the African origins of Christianity, stolen religion from Egypt and Ethiopia. Location, Forest Park Senior Center, 4801 Liberty Heights Avenue. Saturday, October the 17th, 6 to 10 p.m. Topics include the historical Jesus and the mythical Christ, the ancient African meaning of Christ, the First World Order by Roman Emperor Constantine to destabilize African people's religious concepts. That's Saturday, October the 17th. Tickets are $15 in advance and available at Everyone's Place bookstore. Call Asafo Haki Ami at 410-209-9687 or go to www.haranbayradio.com. That's Saturday, October 17th, 6 to 10 p.m. For more information, go to www.haranbayradio.com or call 410-209-9687 or check us out at the web at www.haranbayradio.com.
Negro.
The Transformation Network would like to invite you to
Noor, Nero, Mahogany, Ebony, Nubian, Black. All of these words have the same meaning. Negro is a Spanish noun, descendant of the word Niger, meaning black. Somewhere in history, it was translated to the N-word by those who referred to us as economically, politically, or socially disenfranchised. Instead of the kings and queens, princes and princesses that we really are. We are descendants of the continent of Africa. Countries like Niger and Nigeria hold our rich heritage. Unfortunately, this misinterpretation of our heritage has been perpetuated among our own race. Rather than obliterate this disrespectful term, we have adopted it as a cultural phrase. You've heard it. What's up, my N-word? Or maybe you said it. Get out of my face, N-word. So why have we taken this word to use it in our everyday language to communicate to or about ourselves? Let me dispel the myth. As a people, we are neither economically, politically, nor socially disenfranchised. 56 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, there was an emergence of blacks who capitalized on their God-given talent. Embodied with the character of self-dedication, they joined together to make a new movement, the New Negro Movement to be exact. And if this name doesn't ring a bell, then you might be more familiar with the Harlem Renaissance, a band of writers, actors, musicians, poets, and inventors came together for a new beginning. This explains Renaissance, which means reborn. People like Jazzbo Brown, the name synonymous with the introduction of jazz, Duke Ellington, a jazz musician, Marcus Garvey, a civil rights activist, and Langston Hughes, a poet laureate. So who you calling the N-word? We have held such coveted offices in the history of this nation, and affirmative action had nothing to do with it. According to the definition, an N-word will never be a lawyer, a doctor, or a teacher. Yet many African Americans thrive in these industries. We have held such esteemed offices as chairman of the FCC like Michael Powell, Joint Chiefs of Staff like his father Colin Powell, Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America like President Barack Obama. Oprah Winfrey would never have the success she experienced or the distinction of being the richest woman in America if she had allowed a termination from her job to economically disenfranchise her. Instead, her presence is required in the most elite social and political domains. So I'm sending a message to everyone who knowingly or ignorantly uses this word to describe our people. Whether you're a gangster rapper who uses it to communicate with your boys, or someone who looks down on those of us who haven't got a college education. Whatever the case, it's time to discontinue the use of this word. It is implausible that 40 years after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and we still use this word that holds no worth in our lives or our future. So I'm petitioning you to join me in deleting this word from our vocabulary as a people, as a nation, and the world. I'd like to add a stanza to James Weldon Johnson's Lift Every Voice. Lift every voice and cry till the N-word has died. Let us cry out and proclaim our dignity. Although we may be free, gloom still hangs over we who use the word that made our fathers sigh. Sing a song that doesn't dishonor the mothers who bore us. Sing a song absent of negative words in the chorus. It's now 2009. Leave the N-word behind. Choose words that speak purpose and not defeat. My name is Jonathan.
Family, you just heard it. We wanted you to hear it yourself in case you don't have a chance to get to YouTube or you don't use YouTube. You don't know how to search for it. But this is a baby. This is our shining black prince. This is what we want. This is what's supposed to come from us. I'm not agreeing with everything you said. There's some things I don't agree with. But overall, what he's talking about is abolishing the N-word. I agree with this. This young brother, the courage it took, the matureness it took to put this out. Then you got a grown woman, sister. You a grown woman. You're not 11 years old. You a grown woman. And you're going to get her talking about you want to end like Malcolm X? What is this 11-year-old supposed to do when he looks at you? What is he supposed to think? We've got to become a more moral people. It starts with ourselves. Families, first of all, sister, put clothes on your body. I'm telling you, when I walk down the street now, I walk down the street of Philly and I'm fully clothed, you know what I mean? And I got brothers who I ain't never think they would say, these same brothers who, if I came down the street with nothing on Brother Haki, they would say, hey, shorty, what's up? Right? When I come down the street, brothers, hey, sister, how you doing? Hey, sister, how you doing? How you doing today, sister? It is such a whole different, I'm like, whoa. I walk with my head up now. I don't walk around, oh God, I hope you don't send it to me. Oh God, I don't feel all insecure. No, I walk with my head up because they see me coming. They see a strong black woman who has integrity, who has morals, who has self-respect. Brother, stop using the N-word. Sister, stop using the N-word. It is ridiculous. Don't come to me with no asinine argument as to why we need to use this N-word. And I don't want to hear no elders coming in with no asinine argument.
They coming, sister. I'll tell you, I mean, they're coming, with this type of behavior. And one thing I in terms of the sister Aisha Sekhmet and, several others that continue to try to reach out for young people and understanding that, I mean, and there's even many people that try to, incorporate hip hop with how we teach and, and young people are the most revolutionary segment of the population. They don't have a concern in the world. But the reality is if they're not, that energy is not harnessed for our defense and for the protection of our own community and for nation building and family development, there is going to be internalized. That hatred and those words are going to be internalized. And so you're dealing with a dangerous situation if you don't have the resources to feed them, and to provide industry and provide jobs where they can be economically self-sustaining. You're just setting them up. You're really just setting them up. You're feeding that anger, and it's going to be turned inward. And that's in towards us as a people because they're not going up to, Manhattan or anywhere else and doing drive-by shootings. They're doing it in our own community. They're selling poison in our own community. They're using all this language against us in our own community.
We're going to go to our next caller. I hope we're pronouncing your name right. Facet out of Baltimore. Hotep, brother. Did we pronounce your name right?
That's Tubman City.
Tubman City, brother.
All right.
I first want to thank you for the work that you're doing. And I want to tell you that you're saving lives. It's not an overstatement. And people don't realize the magnitude of what using the N-word and engaging in other type of degeneracy does to our community. All of our moves towards progress have been undone by wickedly wise and Negroes and traitors and ignorant, deaf, dumb, and blind people in our community. They undid every slave insurrection, every positive movement from Garvey on down. And sister, understand, we have an army right now. And we want to go to war against crackers, but we can't do that until we get rid of these ignorant Negroes. So I want to give an admonition to your audience to listen to you well. Because if they don't heed your words, our army is going to go through and destroy them first so that we can get to the real battle that we have ahead of us.
Woo!
That's right, brother.
Brother Facet, I want to thank you for calling up, brother, because you said it, brother, and you were strong. I'm hearing a strong black man on the line is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a strong black man on the line who was saying it plainly and clearly. And I want to thank you for calling up. We invite you to call up again, brother, because it's wartime. We all recognize that. We see it. Even those in the church are starting to see it. It's we at the end of the days, they say, even those in the church are starting to see it. But how are we going to attack this thing?
Right.
We got to attack it in our right African minds. And if we don't do that, we are just going to help to quicken the pace of our own destruction.
That's right.
That's it. And brother, we want to thank you. We want you to call in again. We got one more call we're going to try to take before we have to wind the show down. Brother, again, thank you for calling. Hope you call in again. Next caller is Sister Terry out of West Philly. Sister Terry, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you so for patiently holding on, Sister. We do apologize. It's a passionate discussion.
No problem. We have to have more patience with each other as black people. Yes, and I just wanted to say peace to you and our brother there.
Yes, greetings, sister.
Yes, peace and greetings to you also. And I'll make it quick because I know your time is winding down and I have so much to say. But first of all, I enjoy your show every week, my sister. And I enjoyed that song you just played earlier. I like the wording.
Oh, thank you, sister.
Yeah, they word that real nice. Our brother, the violence you were talking about in our neighborhood, that's what prompted me to call with our people. And a lot of it, I'm with you, my brother. A lot of it, I believe, is mind control. And, well, first of all, our people will perish from lack of knowledge. I've always believed that. Of self. I don't mean knowledge of, George Washington. And I mean knowledge of self. But mind control, getting back to the mind control. First, the music, the video, the rap sister was talking about. C. Dolores Tucker, may she rest in peace. That sister was right on it. She saw the damage coming way back before she died with that rap music. And them videos also. And the little boy that killed the little girl, Destiny, back in the 90s and took her in the shopping cart and took her out in the park. And he was in the room, little young teenager, looking at them videos, some old nasty videos, and got a little hot, I guess, and went and raped that little girl. And then the girl was going to tell. She was only 9, 10, and raped her, and then he killed her. So I believe all these things, videos, the rap, all of them is mind control. Also, my brother and sister, the food, the air, the water.
Right.
I think that stuff is in the hugs our children drinking every morning.
Exactly.
It's in the air, it's in the water, because we're acting really completely out of character for black people.
Right.
Also, those helicopters that come in our neighborhoods, I watch how they stand, and they'll come and stay in midair for about 10 minutes in our neighborhoods up over our buildings and stuff, and then they'll stay there in midair for about 10 minutes, and then they'll fly away. What do we know what's coming out of those, what's coming out in the air from them?
Right.
Also, the symbols when you go through City Hall, those gargoyles.
Yes.
I have a habit of looking up.
Me too, sister.
That's how come I see them satellites beaming all back up to the sky, telling all our business. Because I looks up and see them satellites on them poles. And I have a habit of looking up. Also, I look up as I'm walking and talk to the Creator, because it's real dangerous out there now. And I see them gargoyles. Yes, Sister Lather. I see them gargoyles up over City Hall. But I'm just saying, all these things have a play in our action and, the way we do things. And last but not least, before I hang up, my brothers and sisters, these holidays got our minds and gone. I had a problem with them since the 70s when the Creator opened my eyes. Thank you, Lord. And these holidays. So we have all these damaging things on our that we're dealing with every day with our people. And we're at war, as they say. And I'll say in closing, my people will perish from lack of knowledge. But what's the other one? It's another one, y'all. Oh, you should know the truth.
Know thyself.
You should know the truth, my people, really seriously. Yes. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set us free. Absolutely. When we wake up and see all these things and understand what's going on, we'll be a free people. But the problem is trying to do that. That's what we got to work on. Thank y'all.
Sister Terry, thank you for calling in from West Philadelphia. Please call in again. We definitely love that, the encouraging words, and we look forward to talking to you again, sis. I
sure will. Thank you. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Family, this has been a real show, real talk. It's a lot going on out here. The sister just dropped so much information. It is mind control. You understand? But when you start to go to events like this brother here, Haki Ami, he's out here in the struggle. He's doing things to try to wake us up as black people. Bringing Ashwa Kwesi into Tubman City. Those of us who are here in Philadelphia, we've seen him here several times. We know him. And a lot of us are going down on a trip to see him on October 17th in Tubman City. Brother, can you give the address?
Certainly. That's going to be at the Forest Park Senior Center. That's Baltimore now for sister. So, for brother Rafet, I'm sorry, brother, if you're in Baltimore, definitely on October the 17th. I don't want to get them confused.
Yeah, we try to rename our cities. It's right. Baltimore.
Tubman City, but that's October the 17th. We're going to have Master Teacher Ashwa Kwesi, and he's going to deal with the African origins of Christianity. It's going to be from 6 to 10 p.m. I'm going to give out a website, www.theultimatelife.change.com. That's www.theultimatelife.change.com. So go there, check that out for more information on Master Teacher Ashwa Kwesi.
Definitely, family, and let me tell you something. I've traveled with Baba Kwesi and Mama Kwesi several times to Kemet. Again, it saved my life going to Kemet and into Ethiopia. he's going to be talking about the African origins of Christianity.
Right.
This is our sacred knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to hold our culture as the most. It's all we have is to hold this thing. It's you know, the Jews, they go to the Wailing Wall and they hold that thing sacred. The Muslims, they go on a pilgrimage to Mecca and they hold that sacred. You understand what I'm saying? We have to hold the history of our culture and our people sacred to us. Embrace it. Don't let anybody disrespect it. Don't let anybody call it out his name. You gotta come at them and correct them. The same way we gotta come at these kids and correct them when we see them doing wrong. We can't be afraid. I know sometimes we get scared because the kids out here are now killing us. I know that, family. I know it. But if we don't take a stand and say, I'm not going to be afraid of these children, I'm going to teach them. I'm going to teach them everything that I know. I'm going to help them get into their right African minds. That's how we can begin to win. Just talk to them, but don't get down on their level. Don't get down on their level. They are lost. If you were lost out in the wilderness and you needed water, you're not going to follow somebody here. I'm lost too. I'm just like you. I'm lost. You're going to follow the person who say, no, I'm not lost. I'm from this area. I can show you exactly where the water is. Let's go this way, brothers and sisters. You're going to do that. You don't follow lost babies. They lost. We have to save them. We have to be an example for them. That's what we're trying to bring to you today. Going to some of these events like the one that's going to be held down in Tubman City, this is how we come out of this, family. I know some people, we had a caller who called up one of our website. It's www.ourcause.com. That's OURKOS.com. OURKOS.com. And family, we love you. Sister Aisha segment, again, we're not trying to beat up on you. Call me, sister, 215-990-8672. 215-990-8672. Let's talk. Let's talk, sis. Let's talk. I love you. I love you. I love what you're doing. I'm trying to just help you get on the right path to find that water, sister. And with that, we're going to go on out because this is what we want, people. We want this, family.
It's gonna be a surprising, uprising, insurrection, protection. My people is lethal. Surprising, uprising, insurrection, protection. My people is lethal.
Abner Luima, Patrick Dorsey, Jose Sanchez, Amadou Diallo, Brody Gossett, Timothy Thomas, Taisha Miller, Malcolm Ferguson, Aaron Patterson, Angela Reyes, Larry Cobb, Richard Watson, Mami Abu Jamal, H-Rap Brown, Asada Shakur, Sandiado Coley, Charles Africa, Dr. Matula Shakur, Afeni Shakur, Geronimo Pratt, Debbie Africa, Rebecca Johnson, George Day, Fred Hampton Jr. When we respond to terrorism in the same manner that American terrorists do, then and only then do we have to just
surprising, uprising, insurrection, protection. My people is lethal. Surprising, uprising, insurrection, protection. My people is lethal.